All right, are you Mr. Vincent Turnbull?
Yes.
All right. Good afternoon, sir. I'm Judge Salvia Smith-Fox. I'm going to be handling your first appearance this morning. I have your attorney, Scott Fuentes, on the Zoom as well. Sir, you are charged with DUI, alcohol less safe. Your bond is $5,000. Handicap parking violation, your bond is $500. Mr. Fuentes, do you waive the formal reading of his charges or do you want them read?
We waive, Your Honor.
All right. And there's a special condition not to violate any laws while you are out on bond. Let's see. The misdemeanor, the prelim date is November 3rd. Do you want to keep that date, Mr. Fortes, November 3rd at 8, or would you like to waive it?
Judge, we'll waive that. I believe that he'll be able to make bond, but I would like to ask the court for a bond reduction. Just briefly, this had a situation where my client was parked in a handicapped parking, which prompted the police to come up to ask him while he was parking there, and they smelled an odor of alcohol, which led ultimately to the DUI arrest. So there was absolutely no manifestations of driving. They don't even know how long he's been there. This is his first offense. And I would ask the court for a $2,500 bond.
Okay, in the warrant, it says that he improperly backed into a Clayton County Sheriff's vehicle.
I don't know about that, Your Honor. I was looking at the notes that
So he
Mr. Hawkins
was
left for me.
actually, well, it says that he was driving a black Nissan Rogue when he
Your Honor, I lost you there.
Judge, I think we lost you. Okay. You're back.
All right, sorry about that.
Sorry about that, Judge. I didn't hear you. Your Honor, I'm sorry. We don't have a very good connection.
Judge, your connection is bad. Hopefully she lost back in. I think she's gonna log. She did it before. Like
Mr. Turnbull, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when you make bond, call immediately. When you get out, call Mr. Hawkins, okay?
Okay.
Okay,
I don't have his number.
Yeah, Judge is gonna log back in.
okay. Your family will have it.
I got you.
Okay.
Okay.
And if not, I'll have him call you.
Okay.
Okay. Are you okay?
So far.
Okay.
All right, can you all hear me now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Fortes, I was just saying that, what did I do with that file? Okay. For Mr. Turnbull, it does indicate that he improperly backed into a Clayton County Sheriff's vehicle. It does say that he did consent to the field sobriety examinations, and complied with the blood test. So I will reduce his bond to $3,000 on the DUI, and it'll be $500 on the handicap parking violation.
That'll be fine, Judge, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
And did you say, oh, you said you waived the preliminary hearing?
We will waive the preliminary hearing, Your Honor.
All right. So Mr. Turnbull, they will have a waiver form there at the jail for you to sign, and then you will be excused.
All right, thank you, Judge. That's all I have, and thank you for the email this morning. I appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you. Have a good day.
You as well. Thank you.
All right, Judge, you want to do females and
Judge, does he need to sign a waiver?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
Judge, you want to start putting lining them up so we can?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Right here.
Face them out.
Yeah. Face out and just stand on the blue line. Come on. Just go further down. Come on, man. Come down.
Blue line.
Yeah, so, yeah.
All right, good afternoon. Let me have all of the defendants please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the information you provided on your application for court-appointed counsel is true and correct? If so, say, "I do." All right, thank you. You all may place your hands down. I'm Judge Salvia Smith Fox. I'm going to be presiding over your first appearance hearing today here in Clayton County Magistrate Court. I want to go over a few things with you so you understand the nature of these proceedings. I am not here to try your case this morning or to take a plea in your case. Instead, I'm here to inform you of what you're charged with, if you have a bond, and if so, what that bond amount is. I also want to advise you of certain rights that you have. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, the right to indictment by grand jury for most felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors, the right to a speedy and public trial by jury, the right to see, hear, and cross-examine all witnesses that are called to testify against you, the right to compel the attendance of witnesses in your own behalf, the right to testify and offer other evidence in your defense, and the right to be represented by an attorney. At this point, I am going to appoint an attorney to represent each one of you. Some of you will be allowed to post unrestricted bonds. Those bonds may be cash, commercial, or property bonds. If you decide to post a cash bond, you will pay the full amount in cash to the sheriff. You'll receive all of that money back after the final disposition of your case. If you do not want to pay the full amount in cash, you can go through a commercial bonding company. These are private companies. They charge different fees, up to 15% of the amount of your bond. Now, once you pay this money to the bonding company, you will not receive that money back. If you decide to post a property bond, you would need to find someone that has at least 3 times the amount of equity in their property as the amount of your bond. All of you will have a special condition on your bond not to violate any laws while you are out on bond. Some of you will have additional special conditions that will prohibit you from contacting certain people or going back to certain locations. Understand that this court takes the special conditions very seriously. If you were to violate any of the special conditions, your bond would be revoked. You would not be entitled to another bond while you are awaiting trial, and additional charges could be added. You could be charged with aggravated stalking, influencing a witness, or other charges as the law may provide. You could be facing up to 10 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. For those of you, if you have a no contact provision on your bond, that person would not be allowed to post your bond through the sheriff's office. Some of you are charged with offenses for which this court is not authorized by law to set a bond for you. If you are on active probation or certain charges that have to be heard by a superior court judge. In that event, I will give you a court date in front of a superior court judge. Preliminary hearings. Your next hearing would be a preliminary hearing, which is a probable cause hearing that is held here in magistrate court. The hearing would be to determine whether or not there is enough probable cause to keep you detained in the Clayton County Jail. If you have a misdemeanors only, your preliminary hearing date would be November 3rd. If you have any felony charges, your preliminary hearing date would be November 18th. If you bond out, those dates would automatically be waived by law, and you would get your next court date in the mail. Now, if you have misdemeanor charges only, you will have the option of waiving your preliminary hearing. If you waive that hearing, it will expedite your case to state court. And you would receive a hearing date in state court in 7 to 10 days. So I'll ask you if you have misdemeanor charges only, if you want to waive your preliminary hearing to expedite your case to state court. If you have any felony charges, you will not have this option. You will have to wait and speak with an attorney first before you decide whether or not you want to waive your preliminary hearing. You also have the right to have your charges formally read to you, whether or not it's a warrant or a probable cause affidavit by the officer. You can waive the formal reading of your charges if you already understand what you're charged with, or you do not want that warrant or affidavit read in open court, as some of you have charges that contain sensitive information. Correct. So I will call you all up individually so that I can give you your case information. I'm going to start with the females that were on the October 23rd calendar first.
Judge Fox, we have another group that needs also sworn in the spill, the whole spill. Did you want to?
Okay.
I mean, you want to do those right now?
Well, I can do all the people that you have now that have already heard it. I can give them their charges and bonds first, and then I can do the spill again, if that works.
Additional females. We have additional females.
Yes, we can do that.
Okay. Well, whatever works best. I mean, I can give it to the second group. I have my paperwork in alphabetical order, so.
Yes, ma'am. What we normally do it twice back to back.
Okay.
So we can have everyone just roll right through it, go from one day to the second day.
Okay, that's fine. So I'll give you all a minute to get the second group together.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, are you all ready there?
Your Honor.
All right, let me have all the defendants please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the information you provided on your application for court-appointed counsel is true and correct? If so, say I do. All right, thank you. You may put your hands down. Good afternoon, I'm Judge Salvia Smith Fox. I'm going to preside over your first appearance hearings here in Clayton County Magistrate Court. I want to go over a few things with you so you understand the nature of these proceedings. I am not here to try your case or to take a plea in your case. Instead, I'm here to let you know what you are charged with, if you have a bond, and if so, what that bond's amount is. I also want to advise you of certain rights that you have. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The right to indictment by grand jury for most felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors. The right to a speedy and public trial by jury. The right to see, hear, and cross-examine all witnesses that are called to testify against you. The right to compel the attendance of witnesses on your own behalf by subpoena. The right to testify and offer other evidence in your defense. The right to be represented by an attorney. And I am going to appoint an attorney to represent each one of you. Some of you will be allowed to post unrestricted bonds. Those bonds may be cash, commercial, or property bonds. If you decide to post a cash bond, you'll pay the full amount of your bond in cash to the sheriff's office. You will receive all of that money back after the final disposition of your case. If you decide to go through a commercial bonding company, please note these are private companies. They charge different fees, typically up to 15% of the amount of your bond. Once you pay this money to the bonding company, you will not receive that money back. If you decide to post a property bond, you would need to find someone that has at least 3 times the amount of equity in their property as the amount of your bond. All of you will have a special condition not to violate any laws while you are out on bond. Some of you will have additional special conditions that will prohibit you from contacting certain people or going back to certain locations. Understand that this court takes the special conditions very seriously. If you were to violate any of the special conditions, your bond would be revoked, additional charges could be added, and you would not be entitled to a new bond while you are awaiting trial. You could be charged with aggravated stalking, influencing a witness, or other charges as the law may provide. You could be facing up to 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. For those of you that have a no contact provision on your bond, that person would not be allowed to post your bond through the sheriff's office. Some of you are charged with offenses for which this court is not authorized to set a bond for you. Some of you are on active probation. Some of you have charges that can only be heard before a superior court judge. In that event, I will give you a bond hearing date. For your preliminary hearing is a probable cause hearing, which is held here in magistrate court. It is for those of you that are still detained to determine whether or not there is enough probable cause to keep you detained. If you have misdemeanor charges, the preliminary hearing date is November 3rd. If you have felony charges, the preliminary hearing date is November 18th. Now, if you have only misdemeanor charges, you will have the option of waiving your preliminary hearing and expediting your case to state court, where you will receive a hearing date in 7 to 10 days. So I will ask you, if you have misdemeanor charges only, if you would like to waive your preliminary hearing to expedite your case to state court. If you bond out, that preliminary hearing date is automatically waived by law, and you will get your next court date in the mail. If you have any felony charges, you will have to wait and speak with an attorney first before you decide whether or not to waive your preliminary hearing. You also have the right to have your charges read in open court. That's called the formal reading of your charges. I would read either the warrant or the probable cause affidavit. If you already understand what you're charged with, or you do not want your charges read in open court, maybe due to the sensitive or confidential nature contained therein, you can waive the formal reading of your charges. If you waive the formal reading, I will still let you know what you are charged with and what your bond amount is. All right, I'm going to call you all up individually to give you your case information. All right, I'm going to start with Sequelia Cummings. And after Ms. Cummings will be Amy Duck.
You said Cummings, Judge? Sequoia Cummings?
Aqualia Cummings.
LT, I left these two doors open for the female.
Can you go with Miss Duck first, or
Yes, Amy Duck. And then after Miss Duck will be Alexandra Fuentes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, are you Miss Amy Duck?
Yes, ma'am. I am Miss Amy Duck Triplet. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good afternoon, ma'am. You are charged with public indecency. Your bond is $2,000. I'm going to release you on a signature bond. Ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Explain to me, ma'am.
Do you want me to read the probable cause affidavit, or do you understand what you're charged with?
I do, ma'am. I had kidney stones and I've been homeless, and ma'am, I did have to go and I did have to change my,
Okay, I don't need to hear any facts about the case.
ma'am.
I'm going to release you on a $2,000 signature bond, which means that you won't have to post any money and you'll be allowed to sign, but you're still going to have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond.
Yes.
All right, keep in contact with the court because you will receive your next court date in the mail. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Since I am releasing you on a signature bond, I will need for you to sign a waiver of the preliminary hearing. All right, they should have that form for you to sign, and then you will be excused.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Much. I am so sorry,
step
ma'am.
over this way, ma'am, sign your paperwork. Miss Cummings is out the bond.
Okay, she is. All right. Alexandra Fuentes.
Taylor, interpret of the female.
Yeah, they can.
No, I just.
All right, good afternoon. Are you Miss Fuentes? Yes, all right. Ma'am, you are charged with hit and run. Your bond is $2,000, and you are also charged with improper lane change. Your bond is $500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you are out on bond. Ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or would you like to have them read?
You understand, Ms. Fuentes?
Judge, I believe she might have a language who would be Spanish.
Okay, well, I'll have to call an interpreter. I have to do her at the end.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right.
Who next?
All right, Resendez Gomez.
Gomez. Gomez?
Yes, so, ma'am, I think she's out.
OTB.
She's out on bond, Your Honor.
Okay. Jovita Holder,
Holder. She's here. She's in there.
and then after Ms. Holder will be Tanzania Jackson.
Jackson. OTB.
Miss Jackson bonded out, but we have Miss Holder at the podium.
All right. Then we will have Cheryl James after Ms. Holder. All right, Ms. Holder, are you Ms. Jovita Holder?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good afternoon, ma'am. You're charged with criminal trespass, damage to property. Your bond is $1,500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're on bond. Also to have no violence or harassing contact with Randy Williams. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes.
Williams, I'm sorry.
LT.
Ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
I don't understand, Judge, what you were saying. Could you explain it to me, please?
Do you want me to read the probable cause affidavit from the officer, or do you understand what you are charged with?
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
All right. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your November 3rd preliminary hearing and expedite your case to state court? Or do you want to keep the hearing on November 3rd?
Ma'am, I don't understand what that means. Can you,
All right, I'm going to go ahead and keep it on November 3rd. If you, when you talk with your attorney, if you choose to waive it, they'll have you sign the form. So your preliminary hearing date, can you hear me, ma'am?
I would like to waive it if possible. I would like to.
Ma'am, she's giving you.
Well, I asked you if you wanted to waive it. Do you want to waive it, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
You said yes?
Yes, please.
All right, ma'am, they have some waiver forms there for you to sign, and then you will be excused.
Step over this way. Step over
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
this- right there.
All right, Cheryl James.
Yes, ma'am. How you doing, ma'am?
I'm good, thank you, ma'am. After Miss James will be Madavia John. All right, Miss James, you are charged with pedestrian soliciting and giving a false name, address, or date of birth.
I didn't give
On this,
no address.
hold on, ma'am.
I didn't give no wrong birth.
On the soliciting, your bond is $500. On the giving a false name, address, or date of birth, your bond is $1,500. Ma'am, I'm going to release you on a signature bond, let you sign yourself out on your own recognizance, but you will have a special condition not to violate any laws while you are out on bond. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Ma'am.
Do you want me to read the affidavit from the officer, or do you understand what you're charged with?
What all says.
Okay, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Since I'm releasing you on a signature bond, I will need for you to sign a waiver of the preliminary hearing, and you will get your next court date in the mail.
Do I get to walk out?
Thank you. Go ahead and sign the waiver. Thank you, ma'am. Mandavia John,
I'll scratch it.
Yes, ma'am.
and then Shantavia Jones.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, David. No.
What's your name?
Cheryl. Did she say?
All right, Mandavia John.
Oh, no, I'm just trying to say John. I'm after that.
Sure, John,
No, just John Madavia, Madavia, last name John.
who? Johns.
John, let's say John.
Spell the last name one more time, Judge.
John, John. Her LE number is 215-3588.
She's not even on our list, Judge.
She's not? Can you pull her up by the LE number?
We don't have a computer here to do it.
All right, Ms. Stinson, I see that you're on. Are you able to pull up Madavia John or see if she's bonded out? Or Ms. Myers?
John?
Yes.
John, I was just informed that Miss Johns is out on bond.
Okay, she's out on bond. All right.
Thanks,
The
Ben.
next person I have is Shantavia Jones.
Yes, she's here.
And let's see, do you all have, that's all the females I have on the October 23rd calendar, except for the person that needs an interpreter.
Yes.
All right, and then the next person would be, let's see, Angel Brightwell.
Right up, right, well.
All right, are you Shantavia Jones?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good afternoon, ma'am. You are charged with battery, family violence. Your bond is $4,000. You have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Sean Porter, and also not to violate any laws while you are out on bond. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes.
All right, ma'am, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing would be November 3rd, or you can waive that date and waive your case to state court. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Yes.
All right, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. They will have a waiver form there for you to sign, and then you will be excused. All right. Angel Brightwell.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and after Ms. Brightwell will be Melissa Brooks. Ms. Brightwell, you are charged with interference with custody. Your bond is $3,000. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond. Also to have no violent or harassing contact with Tamika Higgins. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes.
All right. I am going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Would you like to waive your preliminary hearing?
What I need a preliminary hearing for?
It's a probable cause hearing.
Yes, I need a preliminary hearing. Yes.
All right. It will be set for November 3rd at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, ma'am.
Will it be virtual or how will I go?
It probably will be virtual.
So I'll,
If you bond out, the hearing will automatically be waived and you'll get your next court date in the mail. So it will only be if you're still in jail.
yeah, okay, all right.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Melissa Brooks and then Camille Brown. All right, are you Miss Brooks?
Ma'am.
All right, good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, you are charged with battery. You have no bond set as you're currently on 12 months probation in Clayton County Superior Court, case number 20 CR 00413. Pedestrian under the influence, your bond is $1,000. You have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Philip Weedman and not to violate any laws while you're out on bond. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Gentlemen, I'll have court November 3rd.
No, do you want me to read the affidavit from the officer or do you understand what you're charged with?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay. You can have a preliminary hearing on November 3rd, or you can waive that date and expedite your case to state court. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, ma'am, they will have waiver forms there for you to sign, and then you will be excused. Thank you, ma'am. Camille Brown, after Ms. Brown will be Sierra Evans. Good afternoon, are you Ms. Brown?
Ma'am.
All right, ma'am, you are charged with violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act. Your bond is $5,000. Possession of marijuana, 1 ounce or less, your bond is $1,500. No driving unlicensed, your bond is $1,000. And an open container violation, your bond is $500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ma'am, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is November 18th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Give me just one moment.
So I'm not allowed to waive my preliminary?
She's seen Holder on the 23rd.
You did? Okay.
No, ma'am, because you have a felony charge, so you'll have to wait and speak with an attorney first.
Okay.
She was
Okay.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, Sierra Evans, and then Latria Harris. Are you Miss Evans?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, ma'am, you're charged with false statements. Your bond is $4,000. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Does that mean I go to court on November 3rd?
No, I hadn't gotten to that yet. For your charges, do you want me to read the warrant or do you understand what you're charged with?
Oh, It's false statement, right? Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing date is November 18th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. All right, November 18th.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Latria Harris, and after Ms. Harris will be Chandronica Harrison. Are you Ms. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, ma'am, you are charged with criminal trespass. Your bond is $1,500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond and to have no violent or harassing contact with Karsim Harris. Do you understand that, ma'am?
You said what? I'm sorry.
No violent or harassing contact with Karsim Harris.
I understand now.
All right. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
No, ma'am.
All right, you want them read in open court?
Yes, ma'am.
It says the defendant did on the 23rd day of October 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia at 9309 Thomas Road in Jonesboro at approximately 21:54 p.m. did commit the following violations of Georgia law: criminal trespass, and that said offender did commit the above charge when the offender, Latria Harris, date of birth, July 21st, 1978, took the victim's, Karsim Harris, date of birth, May 23rd, 88, phone away from him. The offender admitted to taking the phone and still has possession of it. The offender and victim are married, making this family violence. This incident happened in Clayton County. Ma'am, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Would you like to waive your preliminary hearing?
No, ma'am.
All right, it will be set for November 3rd at November 3rd at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh.
All right, Chandronica Harrison. Are you Ms. Harrison? All right, good afternoon, ma'am. And then next will be Rosalind Ingram. All right, Ms. Harrison, you are charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Due to the nature of the charge, you have no bond set at this time. Reckless conduct, $3,000 bond. Pointing a gun or pistol at another, $2,000 bond. Tampering with evidence, $10,000 bond. Possession of a firearm or weapon during the commission of a crime, $10,000 bond. Ma'am, you have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Sydney Allen. Also not to violate any laws while on bond. Ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges? Do you understand what you're charged with, or do you want me to read the warrant?
So in all together, how much would I need to be burned out?
Well, you wouldn't be able to bond out now because you do not have a bond on the aggravated assault with a deadly weapon charge. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is set for November 18th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, you can go back now. You can go fall in line.
Rosalind Ingram. And then Adrian Jackson.
Right here, man. Adrian Jackson, right here.
Are you Miss Ingram?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
All right, good afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon.
Ma'am, you're charged with tampering with evidence. Your bond is $10,000. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond. Ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
No, ma'am.
All right. It says the defendant did on the 23rd day of October 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia at 6975 Dell Court at approximately 14:55 hours commit the following violations of Georgia law: tampering with evidence, and that said offender did interfere with evidence by picking up and throwing a fired projectile in an attempt to destroy evidence of a shooting where Chandronica Harrison, date of birth, October 18th, 1984, fired a silver .380 pistol, serial number CP 129326, grazing Sidri Allen, date of birth November 23rd, 93, on the leg. After firing, Ms. Ingram's daughter, Chandra Harrison, advised her to pick up the projectile, and Ms. Ingram admitted to throwing the projectile towards some bushes nearby the incident location. Ms. Ingram admitted to this verbally and was recorded on body cam. All right. Ma'am, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing will be set for November 18th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Adrian Jackson. After Ms. Jackson will be Alexandra Lancaster. Ma'am, are you Ms. Jackson?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon. Ma'am, you're charged with simple assault, family violence. Your bond is $3,000. Criminal trespass, damage to property. Your bond is $1,500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond and to have no violent or harassing contact with Brianna Jackson. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
No, ma'am.
All right. Says the defendant, Adrian Clarissa Jackson, did on October 22nd, 2020 at 8471 Avalon Drive in Riverdale, commit the offense of simple assault, family violence against the state of Georgia, and that said defendant did commit an act which placed the victim, Brianna Jackson, date of birth April 30th, 2001, in reasonable apprehension of immediately receiving a violent injury. To wit, the accused did grab a hand mirror and run towards the victim with the mirror, causing the victim to run into her bathroom to avoid a physical altercation. The accused is the victim's mother. That's for the simple assaults. All right, same date and location for the criminal trespass. The defendant did intentionally damage the property of the victim, Brianna Jackson, date of birth April 30th, 2001, without the consent of the property owner, and the damage thereto is $500 or less. To wit, the accused did bang on the victim's bathroom door where the victim hid to avoid a physical altercation with the accused. The bathroom door was no longer properly aligned with the top hinge and part of the door was split. The accused is the victim's mother. All right. Ma'am, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
No, ma'am. And
All right. It will be set for November 3rd at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, ma'am.
My bond again, the name of the bond, the amount of my bond for each charge.
$3,000 for the simple assault and $1,500 for the criminal trespass.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
All right, are you Miss Lancaster?
Yes, I am. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, give me just a moment. I'm signing the last case. All right. All right, and after Miss Lancaster will be Liera McGowan. Ms. Lancaster, you're charged with aggravated assault. Due to the nature of the charges, you have no bond set at this time. Battery, your bond is $4,000. You have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Antonio Lindsay. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, but I'm confused about the bond part. What does that mean? Because at first you said no bond, but then a 400.
You have no bond on the aggravated assault charge. You
Oh.
do have a bond, a $4,000 bond on the battery.
Okay, so if I was to pay that bond, would I still be stuck here? How does that work out?
No, you would not be released because you do not have a bond on the aggravated assault charge.
Okay.
Right? And not until you're able to get a bond on that charge, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you and they can request a bond hearing. to see whether or not you can get a bond on the aggravated assault. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
You can read them to me.
Okay, it says the defendant did on the 23rd day of October 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia at 790 Dixon Road, apartment K4 in Jonesboro at approximately 19:10 hours. They commit the following violations of Georgia law: aggravated assault, family violence, and battery family violence, and that said offender did use scissors with the intent to cause serious injury to the victim, Antonio Lindsay, date of birth October 24th, 85, by stabbing him in the left forearm and stating, "Everybody gonna die today." The offender did scratch the victim, which caused multiple abrasions to the right side of the victim's face and neck. The offender also hit the victim in the left back of the head with her closed fist, causing a large hematoma to the area. Ma'am, your preliminary hearing is set for November 18th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Right.
Liera McGowan, and then May Winnie Parker. Good afternoon. Are you Miss McGowan?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
All right. Ma'am, you are charged with 2 counts of simple battery. Your bond is $4,000 on each count. And criminal trespass, your bond is $2,000. You have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with LaToya Jones and Sierra Jones, and also not to violate any laws while you are out on bond. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges? You want me to read the affidavit from the officer, or do you understand what you are charged with?
I understand what I'm charged with.
All right. Ma'am, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
I don't know what that means.
Your preliminary hearing will be November 3rd, or you can waive that hearing and expedite your case to state court, where you would get a hearing date in 7 to 10 days.
But would I have to stay here?
No, you have a bond. Your bond is $10,000 on all 3 charges.
Okay.
Do you want to wait? Do you want me to set the hearing for November 3rd, the preliminary hearing, or do you want to waive that date?
I want to.
Right. I'm going to set it for November 3rd at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. All right, November 3rd at 8 o'clock. Thank you, ma'am. All right, May Winnie Parker, are you Miss Parker?
Yeah.
All right, and then after Miss Parker will be Cambrisha Porter.
Porter.
All right, Miss Parker, you are charged with simple assault. Your bond is $3,000. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you are out on bond. Also to have no violence or harassing contact with Keenan Hill. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Gotta say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
No, I would like you to read them.
All right, it says the defendant did on the 23rd day of October 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia at 628 Southside Commercial Parkway, 363 Jonesboro, Georgia, 30236. At approximately 1344 hours, did commit the following violations of Georgia law: simple assault, family violence. And that said offender did attempt to commit a violent injury to Keenan Hill, February 26, 1960, after Hill was leaving the hotel room. The offender advised this officer that she became angry at Hill in reference to an argument they had minutes before this incident occurred, causing the offender to throw a butter knife at Hill as he was leaving. The offender and Hill advised the knife did not make contact with Hill. The offender advised she lives with Hill, which places this incident under the Family Violence Code section. This incident occurred in Clayton County. Ma'am, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Would you like to waive your preliminary hearing?
No, ma'am.
All right, it will be set for November 3rd at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, Cambrisha Porter, and after Ms. Porter will be Elizabeth Powell. All right, are you Ms. Porter?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
You are charged with not having your license on your person. Your bond is $500. Giving a false name, address, or date of birth. Your bond is $1,500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
You don't have to read anything, ma'am.
All right. Ma'am, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
No, ma'am.
All right, it will be set for November 3rd at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you.
Thank you. Good day, Your Honor.
All right, good day. All right, you're Miss Powell, and then next will be Marshander Shropshire. All right, Miss Powell, you are charged with criminal trespass. Your bond is $1,500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond and to have no violence or harassing contact with Thomas Luther Still, date of birth July 2nd, 1938. Do you understand that, ma'am? All right, ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes, of course.
All right, ma'am, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Okay.
All right, ma'am, they will have a waiver form there for you to sign, and then you will be excused.
Any way that I can sign out on my own cognizance today?
Come on, ma'am.
No, ma'am, it's $1,500 for your bond. Thank you, ma'am.
1,000, I thought you said.
So I just need for you to sign the waiver, and then you'll be excused.
You step over around this way.
Judge, I have a quick question.
Yes.
We got it on the 23rd. Did you see Asamoah?
I think so. What's the first name?
Rachel, R-I-C-H.
I need to get a card out of my property.
Is that another, a female?
Yeah, that was a female.
Is that the only female you all have left?
I have actually Stratford. I have a total.
Oh, yeah, Shropshire, and then I have Fuentes, who needs an interpreter. You said Asamoah, Raquel. Yes, I have her. You have her?
I did. I didn't know if we just missed her. That's all. I was just
I
wondering.
think I had her in the wrong stack
Okay.
with the males.
All right.
All right, are you Miss Shropshire?
Marshander Shropshire.
All right, ma'am, you are charged with criminal damage to property in the second degree. Your bond is $2,000. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond, and also to have no violence or harassing contact with Quentin Shropshire. Do you understand that, ma'am?
I do understand.
All right. Ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges? Do you want me to read the charges, or do you understand what you're charged with?
You can read them.
All right. All right, it says the defendant did on the 23rd day of October 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia, at 1508 Dana Drive in College Park, Georgia, 30349 at approximately 1347 hours, did commit the following violations of Georgia law: criminal damage to property in the second degree, with intent during a verbal argument with her husband, break out the front windshield, break the rear window, break off the rear view mirror, and break off the driver's side rear view mirror of the husband, Quentin Shropshire, 2017 Honda Accord Sport. License plate CIU 7851, and then it lists the VIN number causing damage greater than $500. This incident occurred in Clayton County, Georgia. Ma'am, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing date is November 18th
Will I be,
at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201.
I'll be able,
Thank you, ma'am.
I was asking.
You can step over here now, step to your left.
So I get a bond.
The bond was 2,000. Oh, I do have Raquel Asamoah and Stacy White.
Yes, they're here waiting.
Okay. Raquel Asamoah.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good afternoon, ma'am. You're charged with criminal trespass. Your bond is $1,500. I am going to release you on a signature bond and let you sign on your own recognizance. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond. Also to have no violent or harassing contact with Chris Asamoah. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. And since I'm releasing you on a signature bond, I need for you to sign the waiver of the preliminary hearing, and then you'll be excused.
Okay, ma'am. I just had one more question. You said no violence or harassing contact?
Yes, so you can have contact. It cannot be of a violent or harassing nature.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Stacy White. All right, are you Miss White?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ma'am, you're charged with criminal trespass. Your bond is $1,500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're on bond. Also to have no violence or harassing contact with Zakia Jones Smith. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ma'am, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
No.
All right. It says the defendant did on the 23rd day of October 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia at 5470 Riverdale Road, apartment S8 in Atlanta, Georgia, 30349. At approximately 1859 hours, did commit the following violations of Georgia law: criminal trespass, family violence, and that said offender did pack the victims, Zakia Jones Smith, date of birth August 21st, 96, clothes and belongings, and put them outside of their home. Said offender also admitted to help changing the lock so the victim could not return to the home. Said offender and victim share an apartment for 5 months. All right. Ma'am, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Would you like to waive your preliminary hearing?
No.
All right, it will be set for November 3rd at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, ma'am. All right, I think that's all of the females that I have, except for Ms. Fuentes, who needs an interpreter.
Correct, Yuan.
Okay. Ortiz Anderson,
Yes, ma'am.
and then after Mr. Anderson will be Brenton Connor. All right, are you Mr. Anderson?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good afternoon, sir. You are charged with driving on a suspended or revoked license. Your bond is $1,500. Violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act. Your bond is $5,000. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Say that again?
Do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is November 18th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Brenton Connor and then Zaki Cross.
Connor's coming. Is that the corner, Judge?
Yeah, Brenton Connor.
Yeah.
Are you Mr. Connor?
Yeah.
All right, sir. You are charged with battery. Your bond is $4,000. You have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Katrina Burns. Also, not to violate any laws while on bond. Do you understand that, sir?
Yeah.
All right. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yeah.
All right. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
No.
All right. It will be set for November 3rd at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, sir. All right. Zaki Cross, and then Joseph Gillum. Are you Mr. Cross?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, sir, you're charged with criminal trespass, damage to property. Your bond is $1,500. I'm going to release you on a signature bond and let you sign on your own recognizance. You'll have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond, and to have no violent or harassing contact with Sage Truth. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
No, ma'am.
All right. It says the defendant Zaki Lanier Cross did on July 15th, 2020 at 1625 Conley Road, apartment 22, building 34, Conley, commit the offense of criminal trespass, damage to property against the state of Georgia, and that said defendant did intentionally damage the stairwell railing valued at $100 with his hand inside his mother, Sage Truth residence. The said accused was upset that the victim would not give him money and told him to clean the residence. This is an act of family violence since the said accused and victim live in the same residence. The said accused is also the son of the victim. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Since I'm releasing you on a signature bond, sir, I need for you to sign the waiver of the preliminary hearing, and you will get your next court date in the mail.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You welcome.
Joseph Gillum, and then Rayvon Haran. Right, are you Mr. Gillum?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, hold on. All right, Mr. Gillum, you are charged with criminal trespass. Your bond is $1,500. 2 counts of theft by taking. Your bond is $2,000 on each count. Criminal trespass, your bond is $1,500. Violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act, your bond is $5,000. Use or possession of drug-related objects, your bond is $1,000. Possession of a weapon during the commission of a crime, your bond is $10,000. Loitering or prowling, your bond is $1,000. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes.
All right. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. And your preliminary hearing is November 18th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, sir.
Oh, you know what's good? Yes.
All right, Rayvon Haran, and then Delshawn Jackson. Are you Mr. Haran?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, you're charged with simple battery. Your bond is $3,000. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond, to have no violent or harassing contact with Eugene Williams. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Can I get my bond again? Can I get
It's
the,
$3,000.
okay.
Do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes, ma'am. I revoke.
All right. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
No, ma'am.
All right, I will set it for November 3rd at 8 o'clock, courtroom 201. Thank you, sir. All right, Delshawn Jackson. All right, and after Mr. Jackson will be Garcia Haquin. All right, Mr. Jackson, you are charged with battery. Your bond is $4,000. Criminal trespass, your bond is $1,500. After reviewing the warrant, I did not find probable cause for the obstructing an officer charge, and I dismissed that one. You have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Amber, Lawrence, and Sharks listed on the warrant. Not sure how to say the first name. Also, a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond. Do you understand that, sir?
Like, can you run it back to me one time, please, on the two first charges?
The battery, the bond is $4,000, and the criminal trespass, the bond is $1,500.
And the third one you dismissed?
Yes, I dismissed the obstruction of an officer.
Okay, ma'am.
Do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
I guess so, yeah.
All right, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Would you like to waive your preliminary hearing?
What would be the point of waiving my preliminary hearing?
If you bond out, it's automatically waived. If you're still in jail, it's a probable cause hearing to see whether or not there's enough probable cause for the charges to keep you detained.
Yes, I'm more than likely not gonna be able to fill this bond. I have no family down here, so.
Okay, so you can have the hearing on November 3rd, or if you waive it, your case will go to state court, or you can resolve your case, and you get a hearing in 7 to 10 days.
Okay, well, I don't want to waive my preliminary hearing.
Okay, so it'll be set for November 3rd at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, sir.
Now you can take all day. Okay, that's all right.
On the steps, on the key. There you go.
We can't hear her. She's speaking, it can be heard.
You all hear me?
Yes, ma'am, you can.
Okay. Your last name, is it Hakeem?
Yes.
All right, sir. Oh, and then next will be Rashad Moore. Sir, you are charged with driving while unlicensed. Your bond is $1,000. I'm going to release you on a signature bond and let you sign on your own recognizance. You will have a special condition not to violate any laws while you are out on bond. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Since I'm going to release you on a signature bond, I need for you to sign a waiver of the preliminary hearing, and then you'll get your next court date in the mail.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, sir.
Good morning, Judge.
All right,
Or afternoon, I'm sorry.
good afternoon. You're Mr. Moore?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
All right, and after Mr. Moore will be Jeffrey Rathbun. Mr. Moore, you're charged with criminal trespass. Your bond is $1,500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond and to have no violence or harassing contact with Shanika Moore. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
No, I'm going to bond out, so I think it'd be irrelevant. No, ma'am.
If you bond out, it's automatically waived.
And yes, yes.
All right. So they will have a waiver form there for you to sign, and you will be excused.
How much?
Thank you, sir. You'll get your next court date in the mail.
How much was the bond?
$1,500. Thank you, sir. Jeffrey Rathbun, and then Tyrone Sass. All right, are you Mr. Rathbun?
Mr. Rathbun?
Are you Mr. Rathbun?
I am.
All right, sir, you are charged with use or possession of drug-related objects. Your bond is $1,000. Sir, I'm going to release you on a signature bond. You can sign on your own recognizance. You will have a special condition not to violate any laws while you are out on bond. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, I do.
All right. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Meaning,
Do you want me to read the probable cause affidavit, or do you understand what you are charged with?
I understand.
All right. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. And since I'm releasing you on a signature bond, sir, I need for you to sign the waiver of the preliminary hearing, and you'll get your next court date in the mail.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, sir. Tyrone Sass, and then Julius Staples. All right, Mr. Sass, you're charged with criminal damage in the first degree. Bond is $4,000. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Also to have no violence or harassing contact with Destiny Clisby, date of birth June 28th, 1990. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is November 18th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And Judge Fox, Mr.
Yes.
Staples, he's out on bond.
Mr. Staples, okay. After Mr. Staples, I have Montana Tamplin.
Hey, we still got one over here.
And then Justin Williams. All right, are you Mr. Tamplin?
Yes.
All right, good afternoon, sir. You are charged with abandonment. Your bond is $1,500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yeah.
All right, sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Yeah, I will.
All right, sir, they will have a waiver form there for you to sign, and then you'll be excused. Thank you, sir. All right, Justin Williams.
Who you need, Your Honor?
Justin Williams.
Williams. Justin Williams. Williams. Justin Williams. Justin Williams.
And then Branimar Briglovic.
Williams on his way.
All right. And then Branimar Briglovic.
Okay. Brandon Moore.
All right, are you Mr. Williams?
Yes.
All right. Good afternoon, sir. You are charged with aggravated stalking. Due to the nature of the charges, you have no bond set at this time. You'll have to have a bond hearing on that charge in front of a superior court judge. You also charged with criminal trespass. Your bond is $2,000. You have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Vanita Johnson. Also not to return to or go upon the premises located at 112 Avalon Way in Riverdale. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
No, ma'am.
All right. It says the defendant did on the 22nd day of October, 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia at 112 Avalon Way, Riverdale at approximately 22:20 hours. Did commit the following violations of Georgia law: aggravated stalking, family violence, criminal trespass, family violence. And that said offender did commit the offense of aggravated stalking and criminal trespass when he was in violation of a court order of victim Vanita Johnson. her date of birth, July 14th, 63, to not return or have contact near or on the premises of the incident location, 112 Avalon Way in Riverdale. Also criminal trespass when he knowingly and without authority entered the incident location by climbing through the window and sleeping at the incident location. The offender has admitted to aggravated stalking and criminal trespass. This case does fall under family violence as both parties once resided together. All right. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is November 18th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201, and your bond hearing is November 20th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, sir. Okay. Branimar, Bridgelovic, and then Harvey Childs. All right, are you Mr. Is it Briglovic?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Sir, you are charged with aggravated assault. Due to the nature of the charges, you have no bond set on that charge. Battery, family violence, your bond is $4,000. Cruelty to children, your bond is $2,000. You have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Daniqua Tyra Monet Smith. Also, not to violate any laws if you are released on bond. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
No, ma'am.
All right.
Ma'am, I have one question. If the lady who.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to appoint attorney to represent you. So I think your question is if she wants to have contact, she'll need to contact. What was your question?
To drop the charges, but prior to us getting the charges dropped, I got incarcerated.
Well, the charges, she has not brought the charges. It's the state of Georgia. She is their witness.
Okay.
So
She can do to help me.
there's that. So I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you because I cannot give you any legal advice from the bench. So discuss that with your attorney. So you wanted to have the warrant read in open court?
He said yes, Your Honor.
Okay. It says the defendant, Branimar Briglovic, did on October 15th, 2020 at 772 Point South Parkway, apartment 805 in Jonesboro, commit the offense of aggravated assault by strangulation against the state of Georgia, and that said defendant did at approximately 1225 hours commit the act of aggravated assault, a violation of OCGA 16-5-21, being that the offender knowingly and intentionally with his hands used them offensively against the victim, Daniqua Tyra Monet Smith, date of birth February 11th, 1993, and was likely, to have resulted in strangulation. Said offender choked the victim by placing his hands around her neck and choked her to where she could barely breathe. The offender and the victim shared 3 children together. This occurred in Clayton County, Georgia. All right, give me just one moment. All right, same, looks like same date and location. The cruelty to children against the state of Georgia, same time. The offender having knowledge that a child under the age of 18 is present and sees or hears the act of the accused. The offender committed a forcible felony and family violence battery against the victim, Daniqua Tyra Monet Smith, date of birth February 11th, 93, when he smacked the victim in the face in front of Nevaeh Briglovic, date of birth June 10th, 2015. Brielle Briglovic, date of birth August 19th, 2019, and Branimar Briglovic, date of birth August 19th, 2019. The offender is the father of the listed children.
Ma'am?
Did you ask him a question, Your Honor? I'm sorry.
No, hold on just a moment. I have to get the other warrant. All right, and then the battery family violence. Same date and location, the defendant committed the act of battery family violence in violation of OCGA 16-5-23.1, being that the offender intentionally caused substantial physical harm and visible bodily harm to the victim, Daniqua Tyra Monet Smith, date of birth February 11th, 93. Said offender bit the victim on the back of her right shoulder, and during the course of the argument, the victim sustained cuts to both her left and right thumb. The offender and the victim shared 3 children together. This occurred in Clayton County, Georgia. Okay, give me just one moment. All right, sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is November 18th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, sir. It's on mute, so I can't hear anything.
Ma'am, is there any way that I can get a bond because I am a stay-at-home father? She needs.
No, sir, not with those charges.
Is there a
You
way?
have to be in touch, so you cannot call her from the jail. So there's a stay away provision as well. Thank you, sir. Harvey Childs and then Donald Fisher. All right, are you Mr. Childs?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon, sir. Sir, you are charged with loitering or prowling. Your bond is $1,000. Possession of marijuana, 1 ounce or less, your bond is $1,500. Sir, I am going to release you on a signature bond and let you sign the bond on your own recognizance. You will have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Do you understand that, sir? All right. And sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
No, man, I don't want to read. I don't want to read it. I don't want.
Okay. I will appoint an attorney to represent you. And since I'm going to release you on a signature bond, I'll need for you to sign a waiver of the preliminary hearing, and then you will get your next court date in the mail.
Yes, ma'am.
Step T, right?
Right. Thank you, sir. Go ahead and sign the waiver.
Yes, ma'am.
You can step.
Donald Fisher.
Thank you.
All right. And after Mr. Fisher will be Javor Jackson. All right. Are you Mr. Fisher?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, you are charged with being a fugitive from justice. So this is what's called an extradition hearing. You will be able to voluntarily return back to the demanding state, or you can request an extradition hearing. You have no bond set since you are wanted by another jurisdiction. Let's see. It says you are wanted by Camden County Sheriff's Office in New Jersey for theft by deception, warrant number W901911038. It is a felony charge, and they wish to extradite you back on that charge. So, sir, you have the option of voluntarily returning back to New Jersey. If you decide to do that, we'll contact them. We'll have 10 business days to come pick you up, or we will release you from our jail. If you want to contest extradition, I will appoint an attorney to represent you. We can hold you up to 90 days in our jail awaiting that extradition hearing. You will not be able to contest your innocence or guilt because the case is not pending here in Clayton County. We don't have the case information, but you would be able to contest 4 things: whether the extradition documents are in order on their face. Second, whether you are charged with a crime that actually exists in the demanding state of New Jersey. 3, whether you are the person named in the request for extradition. And 4, whether you are in fact a fugitive from justice. So, sir, do you want to voluntarily return back to New Jersey?
Yes.
All right, sir, they will have some waiver of extradition forms for you to sign. And once you sign those forms, you will be excused.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. For Jackson. All right, and after Mr. Jackson will be Billy Lackey. All right, are you Mr. Jackson?
Yes, ma'am. She said.
All right, Sir, you are charged with reckless driving. Your bond is $1,500. Let's see, driving unlicensed, your bond is $1,000. Speeding violation, your bond is $1,500. Violation of the seatbelt law, your bond is $500. Improper use of dealer tag, your bond is $500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges? Do you understand what you're charged with, or do you want me to read the affidavit from the officer?
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
All right. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, sir. They will have a waiver form there for you to sign. And once you sign that form, sir, you will be excused. Thank you, sir. Billy Lackey. All right. And then next will be Chase Metz. All right, are you Mr. Lackey?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, you are charged with tag alteration. Your bond is $500. Fleeing from police officer, your bond is $1,500. Reckless driving, your bond is $1,500. Obstructing an officer, your bond is $2,500. Interference with government property, your bond is $5,000. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges? Oh, I'm sorry, you all have it on mute. I couldn't hear.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
That's okay. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Ma'am.
All right. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is November 18th at 8 o'clock in room 201. Thank you, sir. Chase Metz, and then after Mr. Metz will be Ahmad Norrington. All right, Mr. Metz, are you Mr. Metz?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, you are charged with DUI, alcohol, less safe. Your bond is $5,000. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes.
All right. Sir, I am going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Oh, no.
All right, sir, I will set your preliminary hearing for November 3rd at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, sir. Are you Mr. Norrington?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, after Mr. Norrington will be Robert Ruffin. All right, Mr. Norrington, you are charged with, hold on. Expired registration, your bond is $500, no insurance, your bond is $1,000, no license, your bond is $1,000, and a brake light violation, your bond is $500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
No, ma'am.
All right, it will be set for November 3rd at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, sir.
Hello, ma'am.
All right, hello. Are you Mr. Ruffin?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and after Mr. Ruffin will be DeAndre Saucier. All right, Mr. Ruffin, you are charged with criminal trespass. Your bond is $1,500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Also, to have no violent or harassing contact with Zakia Jones Smith. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges? Do you want me to read the affidavit from the officer, or do you understand what you're charged with?
I understand.
All right. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
No.
All right. It will be set for November 3rd at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, sir. I'm going to take a break for just a couple of minutes. I have to get a power cord for my computer before the battery goes out. But the next person will be DeAndre Saucier and then Jarvis Shedrick.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right. I'm ready. DeAndre Saucier.
Saucier, step up to the podium.
And then next will be Jarvis Shedrick.
Lean on the podium.
Are you Mr. Saucier?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon, sir. You're charged with simple battery. Your bond is $4,000, and cruelty to children in the third degree. Your bond is $2,000. Disorderly conduct. Your bond is $1,500. Sir, you have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Also to have no violent or harassing contact with Ayanna Bush. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes.
All right, sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir. They will have a waiver form there for you to sign, and then you will be excused. Thank you, sir. All right, Jarvis Shedrick,
Yes, ma'am.
and then Larry Shepard.
Oh,
All right, are you Mr. Shedrick?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, you are charged with criminal trespass. The bond is $1,500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you are on bond. Also to have no violent or harassing contact with Elnora Shedrick, date of birth January 17th, 1925. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, they will have a waiver form there for you to sign, and then you will be excused. Thank you, sir.
I think up on the first one.
Larry Shepherd,
Yes, ma'am.
and then, hello, Mr. Shepherd. Then next will be Marcus Smith. Mr. Shepherd, you are charged with driving on a suspended or revoked license. Your bond is $1,500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges? All right. And sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Yes.
All right. Sir, they will have some waiver forms there for you to sign, and then you will be excused. Thank you, sir. Marcus Smith.
Okay. He's coming.
After Mr. Smith will be Burrell Tate.
I found out or not? If I don't find out, then I'll be here. Really? Hold on, let me move this down. Okay. 7 days, right?
All right, Marcus Smith.
Yes, ma'am, how you doing?
All right, good, sir. And then next will be Pharrell Tate. Mr. Smith, you are charged with robbery. You have no bond set at this time because you're currently on 7 years probation at Clayton County Superior Court, case number 15 CR 01662. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges? Do you want me to read the affidavit from the officer, or do you understand what you are charged with?
You can read it to me, ma'am.
All right. It says the defendant did on the 23rd day of October 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia at 810 Dogwood Trail in Jonesboro at approximately 1557 hours, did commit the following violations of Georgia law: robbery by force. And that said offender did take the victim, Dorian Higdon, date of birth September 10th, 86, Nissan Altima, tag CDT 8799 by force without the victim's permission. While taking the victim's vehicle, the offender did close the victim's fingers in the driver's side door, causing swelling and redness the victim's fingers on his right hand. This occurred at 8805 Terra Boulevard, Jonesboro, Georgia, 30238 in Clayton County. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing will be November 18th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, sir. All right, Pharrell Tate, and after Mr. Tate will be Jamel Thompson. All right, are you Mr. Tate?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, you are charged with violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act. Your bond is $5,000. You're charged with use or possession of drug-related objects. Your bond is $1,000. Possession of a weapon during a crime. Your bond is $10,000. Speed restriction violation. Your bond is $500. So you have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, I am going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is November 18th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, sir. Jamel Thompson and then Frederick Ware. Are you Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
All right. Good afternoon, sir. You are charged with DUI alcohol less safe. Your bond is $5,000. No tag, unregistered. Your bond is $500. Possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Your bond is $1,500. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
I don't know what that means.
Do you want me to read the affidavit from the officer, or do you understand what you are charged with?
I don't understand the DUI because I wasn't drinking.
All right, hold on, sir. It says the defendant did on the 24th day of October 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia, at Flat Shoals Road, Wynwood Road, at approximately 0130 hours, did commit the following violations of Georgia law. DUI less safe, unregistered vehicle, possession less than an ounce. And that said offender did operate a vehicle without valid registration. Upon interview, the driver had the smell of alcohol coming from his breath and could barely stand up without my help. Also, the driver had a small bag of marijuana, less than an ounce. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Sir, would you like to waive your preliminary hearing?
I don't know if that's against me or not. I don't understand that, but
You can have a preliminary hearing on November 3rd, or you can waive your case to state court, or you'll get a hearing date in 7 to 10 days.
I want a hearing.
Okay, you want the preliminary hearing? It will be November 3rd at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201. Thank you, sir.
So if somebody still.
All right, are you Mr. Ware?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon, sir. And after Mr. Ware will be Robert Woods.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Ware, you are charged with disorderly conduct and criminal trespass. Your bond is $1,500 on each count for a total of $3,000. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
I kind of want to know what it is.
All right. It says the defendant did on the 23rd day of October 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia at 1475 West Fayetteville Road at approximately 1659 hours, did commit the following violations of Georgia law: disorderly conduct, criminal trespass, and that said offender did commit the offense of disorderly conduct by acting in a tumultuous manner towards the voting staff at Virginia Gray Recreation Center. The voting staff asked the offender to leave the incident location and the offender refused. This incident took place in Clayton County. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Would you like to waive your preliminary hearing?
Negative.
All right, sir, it will be set for November 3rd at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201.
Okay, and if I make bond, then I'll get out and I'll get a later court date, correct?
Right, that November 3rd would automatically be waived, but you would get your next court date in the mail.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Judge Fox,
Yes,
would you do Ms. Fuentes before you do Mr. Roberts? He has to go last because of his status.
okay. Give me just a second. I need to call on the language line to get an interpreter, and then I can do Ms. Fuentes. Let me get the interpreter and I'll be right back.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Fuentes, are you there?
She is.
Hola, señora Fuentes.
Hola, sí.
Ma'am, you are charged with hit and run.
Yo voy a ser su intérprete y bueno, su cargo ahorita es de pegar y correr, o sea, de escaparse de un lugar del accidente.
And ma'am, your bond on that charge is $2,000.
Y su fianza por ese cargo es de $2,000.
Ma'am, you're also charged with improper lane change.
También está con el cargo de cambiarse impropiamente de carril.
Your bond on that charge is $500.
Su fianza por ese cargo es de $500.
So your bond for both charges is $2,500.
Entonces, su cargo en total por ambos, pues, su fianza total por ambos cargos es de $2,500.
All right, and ma'am, you have a special condition not to violate any laws while you are out on bond.
¿Y tiene usted alguna condición especial para poder no respetar la ley?
Ma'am, do you want me to read the affidavit from the officer, or do you understand what you are charged with?
¿Quiere que le leamos algo más o usted ya entiende cuáles son sus cargos?
Sí, yo los entiendo.
She understands.
All right. Ma'am, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you.
Vamos a conseguirle a un abogado para que la represente.
Pero yo puedo pagar eso hoy.
She's asking if she can pay the bill today.
Yes. So after this hearing, once the sheriff's office receives your bond order, they'll put it into the system and then you'll be able to post your bond.
Sí, por supuesto. Después de la audiencia del día de hoy, va a estar dada de alta por los oficiales su fianza y con todo gusto la puede pagar.
Ok. ¿Y cuál es el siguiente paso?
Okay, so which is the next step?
All right. So one more thing, your next hearing would be a preliminary hearing.
Su audiencia va a ser audiencia preliminar.
That hearing will be set for November 3rd at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201.
Eso va a ser el 3 de noviembre a las 8 de la mañana en la sala 201.
Okay.
Or you have the option of waiving that hearing and having your case be expedited to state court, where you would have a hearing in 7 to 10 days.
O puede usted tratar de eliminar ese cargo y que su audiencia sea de 7 a 8 días también.
Do you want to have the hearing on November 3rd, or do you want to waive that hearing?
¿Usted quiere tener su audiencia el 3 de noviembre o
Quiero pagar la fianza.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Judge Fox.
Thank you, ma'am. Robert Woods.
Yeah, the pay fianza, okay?
We don't have the interpreter anymore, but I finished with Ms. Fuentes.
Ms. Wood, Mr. Wood.
Robert Woods.
Did she waive, Your Honor?
No, I set it for November 3rd at 8 o'clock. All right, good afternoon. Are you Mr. Woods?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
All right. Sir, you are charged with simple battery. Your bond is $4,000. You're charged with aggravated assault. You have no bond set on that charge due to the nature of the charges. You have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Janisa McKenzie, date of birth September 22nd, 93. You have a special condition not to violate any laws if you are released on bond. Do you understand that, sir? No, I couldn't hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Could you explain that to me, please?
Do you want me to read the affidavit from the officer, or do you understand what you are charged with?
You said I was charged with assault?
Aggravated assault and simple battery.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want me to read the affidavit from the officer, or do you understand those charges?
I do and I do not, but could you just read it to me, please?
All right. It says the defendant did on the 23rd day of October 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia, at 5801 Riverdale Road, apartment 31J, at approximately 0545 hours, did commit the following violations of Georgia law: simple battery, family violence, aggravated assault, family violence, in that said offender did commit the offense of simple battery when he intentionally made physical contact of an insulting or provoking nature by pushing the victim, Miss Janisa McKenzie, date of birth September 22nd, 1993, with 2 open palms. Said offender then committed the offense of aggravated assault when he used his hands to choke the victim, which is likely to result in strangulation. Said offender made a verbal admission to pushing and choking the victim. Victim and offender shared a residence in the past and have 2 children together. Sir, I am going to appoint an attorney to represent you, and your preliminary hearing is set for November 18th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 201.
Okay, how much was the bond for the
The
charge?
simple battery was $4,000, and there is no bond on the aggravated assault.
Okay, so is there anything I can do about either one today?
I don't know what your question is. Well, you won't be able to bond out today because you do not have a bond on the aggravated assault. But I've appointed an attorney to represent you. So if you have any additional questions, they'll be able to answer them for you when they contact you.
Okay, how will they contact me?
They'll come visit you at the jail.
Okay.
All right.
You can step this way.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have. Do you all have anyone else?
No, Your Honor, that's all we have.
All right. Thank you all. That's going to conclude first appearance this afternoon.
Ma'am, thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye, Judge. Have a good evening.
All right. Thank you. You too.